No.
Well, when you watch the tape, how'd your young receivers play in that game?
You know, I was actually proud of them. We didn't have any drops. You know, there were some things we needed to clean up on the perimeter. We missed on the very first play. We missed the block. That was a crucial block. You know, we always want to get started on a positive note. So disappointed in some of that, but the rest of the game they picked the tempo up and were, you know, doing what we expected them to do. And I was really proud of the way they got out there and executed.
You think defense will play this week?
Again, a lot of depends on the plays, and remember how we do it is based off formations and based off what the defense was giving us, and the way they were playing, the things that he does best, he wasn't used because they didn't give us a chance to do those things. But it wasn't something that he didn't do or something that he was in trouble for or because, you know, Emory played better than him. It was really based off the defense, what they dictated to us. So I'm hoping that this week, from what we see coverage-wise, that it'll allow him to get some more plays in.
Just talk about Trevante. How nice was it to see him have a game like that?
It was good. I mean, it really was. You know, the kid has really worked hard, and I remember I told you guys about him doing the reverse against Ole Miss and getting that first down, and those were some of the things that we saw in high school that he could do, and to see him go out there and play as many snaps and to be able to make a play and get in the end zone and, you know, made a pretty tough catch. I was really proud of him because the guys in that room love him, and they're all rooting for him and pulling for him, and they were excited. I think the guys that were, you know, in the room were more excited than he was. He's like, what's the big deal, you know? He's acting like, you know, he's just been doing that since he's been here or something. But the guys were so happy because he's come a long way from being injured.
You ever seen him pull a move like that in practice?
Not only in practice, but in high school. He played quarterback, and we saw that same deal. He played actually with the running back that's at LSU, the Ford kid. And, you know, a lot of times he gets some one-on-one stuff and because they be keying on him and he'd make guys miss. So he's actually done that before. I'd like to say that's a drill that we work every day, but it's not. I mean, he brought that to the table with him, and I was excited for him. And you could tell when he got in the end zone how excited he was.
Talk about kind of the rest of the game and blocking. How did that carry over for these guys? Because I know that's one of the things that is really big on a running game. Those guys ability to block on the edge.
It's really big. The perimeter blocking is emphasized a bunch because it gets our offense going. And you know, what we have to do is we got to stay out of mismatches like, you know, a big guy on Trevante, and that's why you see so much substituting. The only problem with substituting is then it slows us down some because when you substitute, the defense is allowed to substitute too. So we got to find that nice mixture of guys that can get lined up and block the perimeter as well as run routes. And that's kind of what we're trying to get a feel for. But, you know, to have the timing that they had with Trotter, I was really impressed with that. You know, that the guys were on the same page. Nobody missed any signals. All those things were for first game. As a receiver coach, that's what you're most nervous about. Your wideouts and the quarterback going to be on the same page, because when they're not, it usually turns into a big play for the defense, and we stayed out of those situations. And that was really exciting and encouraging for us to build on that. You know, we're really excited about that part of it.
Would you say Emory, did he play like an old guy, like a mature guy?
He really did. But to be honest, I don't have anybody that I could say didn't, and that was really impressive to me because they didn't panic. You know, the 2-minute drill went down just like the way we practiced, and we didn't have any missed assignments on that. Nobody was rushing and hurrying and getting out of whack. Even on the blocking assignments, doing, you know, ran the draw play with Michaela, we had a hat on a hat, you know, and that for me as a coach is satisfying because we know all the wideouts want to catch it. That's easy. But to see those guys go out there and block on the perimeter and continue to take pride in that, that's big. But yeah, I mean, he really did play well, but we expect that from him because he's done that for so long.
You don't really hear about his speed very often. He kind of pulled away from those guys in that touchdown. Is he faster than people give him credit for?
You know, I'm not sure. I mean, to be honest, you know, Emory's probably 4.5. You know, I mean, that's probably where he's at. But if you look, and Quindarius Carr had a block to clear him to get into that. He peeled back on that DB that had an angle to get him, and that's what sprung him toward the end. And I can tell you the first person to Quindarius was Emory because he knew. Then when we watched it on tape, we were able to show the guys in the room. That's what we call winning football. When you'll be unselfish, and then Tremont was on the backside, and Emory was so far in front of him, he pulled away from a guy where in the past Trevon would have tried to block that guy, which had nothing to do with the play. And what do referees do? when you're away from the play. They call a penalty and they bring that back. And then the other thing, if you guys recognize, remember they changed the rule. If you celebrate before you get into the end zone, they bring it back to that spot. You don't get the touchdown and you get a 15-yard penalty. And those were some of the things that we emphasized in practice, how to celebrate with your teammates, hand the ball to the ref, and to see those guys execute that. Because Emory made a long run, and he could have dove into the end zone. He could have held the ball up. Javante, when he got there, he could have done the same thing, and he didn't. You know, they handed the ball to the ref, and we celebrated as a team. Those things that the average fan may not notice, as a coach, that's important to me, because how big would that have been to start celebrating, and they back us up from where he started celebrating 15 yards, and it cost us a touchdown. So.
Chip, I know you don't coach Parkey, but just talk about the game he had from your perspective, just the things he did kicking those balls on.
It was huge because, you know, I'm involved with the kickoff team. We all have a different spot on that, so it does help us when our guys can cover when he's kicking out the back of the end zone. All of us can cover kicks if he does that, you know, not to worry about it put out there. But it is a big weapon, and then if you notice, even he grew up. The first kick wasn't very good. I mean, he basically shanked it. But the rest of them, and that's why we always talk about, guys, there's no substitute for experience. Once he got that first one out of his system and was able to just fall into the game, but he was kicking it deep, and obviously there's a 10% chance or maybe 13% chance, depending on whether you do NFL or college, that a team can start from the 20-yard line and methodically walk down the field without making a mistake. Most teams are going to jump off sides, have a penalty of holding or throw an interception or fumble it. Just don't air, much less when you have defense out there. So those chances of them scoring obviously decrease the further they are back in there. So that's big. And when we talk about our guys trying to keep that ball inside the 20 on the kickoff team, so that was big. To see that he makes it easy for us to coach that kickoff team. I can tell you that.
Anything else?
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.